It's really nice to see all of you. Didn't you guys go to the party last night? Well, I appreciate you wake up so early. Okay, how many of you are on the marketing or publishing side of the business? Raise your hands. Well, many of you, many of you. I was thinking marketing people dance till the dawn. Okay, look, the topic I'm going to cover today is about brands, and it's important not only for marketing, it's importantly for everyone who in video games business. Before I start, let me introduce myself and the company I'm with, and where my experience is coming from. So I'm with Playsense. Playsense is the creative powerhouse where we produce marketing content for video games. We have a pretty unique story. We were born around 10 years ago inside Wargaming. Wargaming is a huge developer and publisher. You probably know them by their well-known IP and brands War of Tanks or World of Warships. So we were working exclusively with Wargaming as their in-house agency, supporting all the Wargaming titles with the majority of marketing content, from small banners to full-weight advertising campaigns. Around 3 years ago, we made a first step towards the industry and introduced our CGI production service to the whole video games world, and managed to work with different clients like Ubisoft. And last year we became fully independent, and all our expertise and skills and services available to the whole video games world. Now we work with Riot Games, with Nacon, with Ubisoft, with Wargaming, with the Sandbox, with Skin, with other game developers and publishers, and we enjoy it very much. Just to visualize what I just said, I want to show you the latest Playsense showreel.
Just press play. 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 These are the words to kickstart my day. In the land of nomads, I'm free to do my best, striving for the horizon. At work, everything is play, in a sense. Sense of story and storytelling. Sense of wonder, the ability to amaze and be amazed. Sense of adventure, the right to experiment. Sense of urgency, focus, speed and momentum. Sense of teamwork, of team play. And when playfulness is allowed and hard work is given, it just makes sense.
Okay, so as you can see, we did very much, and we can deliver more. The soundtrack was customly developed in the UK, so it took some time for us to prepare it. And I'm very emotional about what I just saw, because it's the very first time I see it on the screen too, on the big screen. We'll speak about emotions a lot. So speaking of myself, look how cool I am. I've been with video games for about 10 years, spent part of my career with Wargaming, where I had a lot to do and grew up to the head of in-house agency. Now I'm super happy to be with Playsense as their CEO. Okay, that was an introduction part. Let's go with brand. What is brand? Brand in general is a unique personality or identity of your game. I want to highlight the word personality here. We'll talk about it a lot. Brand helps company to be different from others, and it helps people to remember and to recognize it. I'm speaking not only about video games as a company, but about titles as well. So it helps you to stand out from the very tough competition we have on the market. It increase the players' loyalty, it increase the trust, and it's also in times of crisis, it ensures long-term success. Having a strong brand can give a company a sense of secure. And in general, there are, like, as I can see, there are plenty of publisher and marketing people here, so you know that you have many ways to promote your game. So, for example, you have a concept of performance marketing, which is focused on short-term revenue and specific actions. And you have brand marketing, which is mostly about building long-term relationships with your audience. So today I'm going to talk about brand mistakes and how every game developer can avoid it if you listen carefully to me. So the first one is thinking of the game exclusively as a product. What does it mean? It's thinking of the game as a source of revenue, just source of money. Like nothing meaningful or joyful, just business. And well, what we have now in video games, we have this issue, yet an opportunity that is booming. Last year, around 11,000 games were released on Steam, so it's about 30 games per day. So the competition is tough. It's really hard to stand out from the competition. And well, we here in this room, we compete, we fight for free time of our audience, not only with other games. We fight with streaming platforms, with TV. Like, people have a lot to do. Like, they watch Netflix, they watch Sky Sports and English Premier League. They have a lot to do outside gaming, and even in games, they do have a lot of choice. They can easily nowadays switch from one game to another. That's why we here, we need to provide something special to them. And well, speaking of the business point of view, it also, like this booming, it leads to higher acquisition costs. So we just have to spend more and more investments to our social media, advertisement, promotion, just to have this small chance to grab an attention of the audience. So having a solution of having a strong brand is pretty, well, it's pretty a competitive tool to have. It's, as I said, it helps you to stand out from the competition. It's recognizable. It also helps you to define your core audience and, well, be more relevant to it. Thinking of consistency of communication, like when people, like, let's speak of a game title as a personality. Like when a person is changing his or her, like, mood or their behavior a couple of times per month, like, you could find it a bit awkward. It's happening with your game title as well. So brand helps you to frame your messaging, your tone of voice. It just helps you to be consistent in this kind of communication. It's also, brand helps you to build strong, not just emotional, but strong emotional connections and increase loyalty. I have an example. As a Playsense, we work closely with World of Tanks Blitz marketing team, and it's pretty unique experience and what this team has achieved through all the operation of this game. So World of Tanks Blitz is a mobile game, and what brand team did, they differentiate this game from World of Tanks PC, because while World of Tanks PC is about immersion, having vehicles, feeling like part of something huge, World of Tanks Blitz, they have different audience. They have different dynamic. Their gameplay, sessions are shorter. Their visual style are brighter, and it's hard work to stand out from the game, which might looks like the same. It's not the same at all. And what they did, what brand marketing team did, they like achieved some result. And just want to remind you that Blitz has been released in 2014, right? So next year, as they celebrating their 10th anniversary, which is, well, few mobile games achieved that. And it was achieved because Blitz has always put their effort into a games brand. Well, that's a fantastic result. Also, what they did, they brought a very loyal, like they built a very loyal community. Without loyal community, you can't last long in this market. The second mistake is game features and unique selling propositions alone attract audience. So this is actually a question, can a good game sell itself? Well, I would say yes, but it won't, without good marketing, it won't release its full potential. And here we introduce the concept of emotions. So great marketing is not about giving people what they want. It's about making people feel what you want them to feel. And emotions, that's what makes us all feel alive. We are always in a look for emotions. We pay for emotions, and usually we pay premium for emotions. They make us all fall in love. It's the same with brands, with our games. We want people love our game, no less. And you know, it's very hard and risky job to build this emotional connection, because this is very thin line. You give your audience fake or exaggerated creative or campaign, it puts your communication on the wrong side, and it may you'll like those people will feel frustrated, and they could potentially lose the interest. And your job, not only marketing job, but everyone who in this room who works in this industry, is to craft powerful emotions. And what you need to do is to associate those emotions with your game, with your product. This is actually the process of building a brand. First emotions, then attributing those emotions to your product. I think it's also a very fair statement that the more individuals love your brand, the higher the value of your game, because people willing to pay premium for emotions, right? And you know, it's very hard to love anything or anyone without a personality. So you need to have this personality. And what's also important, emotional value has a limitless price tag. Limitless. Great example of launching Battleborn. So Battleborn was developed by Gearbox and published by 2K some time ago. It was a hard game. So it was FPS, it was MOBA, it was adventure. So like they had lots of like 25 different characters, whatnot. So the agency AMP came up with a strong emotional solution how to launch this brand, this game. They came up with a message that this game is not just for gamers, it's for anyone who wants to feel like a badass. Because everyone has an inner voice that whispering, like, come out and play, you're a badass. And they played on it. So this game led you to unleash your inner badass. So they executed this message in a fantastic way. So it was very consistent across all platforms. So each and every asset they produced in social media or in terms of video trailers. They even had huge activation zone on E3. It had a feeling of badass. And despite, like at the end of the day, despite serious competition, who had a higher budget, it was a very busy launch period. Well, Battleborn started on the top and was top one across all three major platforms back in the day. So what they did, they found this emotion, they found a way how to deliver this emotion to the audience. They nailed it. Third mistake, titles are telling but not making a conversation. Look, successful titles, they don't tell you what to do. Like, I release my game, you go and play. That's it, my job's done. I just sit and wait. It's not like that. So, successful brands and game titles, they start a conversation with their potential audience, not just their current audience. This is like it's also similar to how people communicate with each other. First, you need to listen, and then you respond. Because brands which don't listen, then they won't be heard. Now, like, despite how loud they yell, and in terms of business, loud yelling is just huge spending in marketing. And good brands, they can create an emotional value with just a whisper. Yeah, in general, video games marketing is a pretty new thing. We have many people from marketing here, but you understand we are self-taught. Most of us are self-taught. We just have this experience working with different companies, with different products, and we bring it to this particular industry. So other industries, like any other industry, their marketing is older and more experienced. And in those areas, individuals have, like, this is a routine for them just to have a conversation with their brand. It's like a daily stuff for them to have this opportunity to start a communication with their favorite brands. And I think video games, we lack of it at the moment, and we need to reflect that. Listening means observing it and understanding. As a brand, we need to understand what happens in society. We need to understand people's joys and worries. We need to have our strong point of view, like your brand point of view. And if you communicate it in a meaningful way, on a consistent basis, you'll become a leader in people's minds. And you know that we all used to fall in love with thought leaders. So, as said, demonstrate that your game has a personality, has face and a soul, and you let your community in. Be open and honest. Speaking of the community, like, it might what I just said, it might sound very emotional. It is, though it also has the specific business results. So if you build an emotional connection with your audience, it also leads to, well, great, strong and loyal community. It will activate word of mouth, where people will tell everyone how good your game is, how good the community is. They are part of it, and they stay with your game longer. And at the end of the day, it leads to lower acquisition costs. So you'll spend less for bringing players into a game, and also you'll increase your lifetime value. So you'll increase profits with this all future relationships with your audience. Also a great example how brands communicate with their community. So when Marvel announced the Guardians of the Galaxy game, like, you know what's happening with Marvel fans, like there were millions around the world. They have their expectations, they're always high, and they also had some assumptions. And this brand knows how to answer these expectations and assumptions, right? So the community expect this game to be multiplayer. They expect it to be very close to the original Marvel movies. Though the game is single player, it has a regional story, and working is like listening to the audience and working with expectations is tough, but they nailed it. So they, Hammer Creative Agency, they came up with an elegant yet direct solution. They just told their community the truth. So jump into Star-Lord's jet boots and command the Guardians yourself. So it's just honest. It's like a single player, it just said. And it was like a huge campaign with lots of channel of communication. But what's interesting that the audience warmly met the game, and also when they started this campaign, the pre-order charts, they jumped to the top. So this Guardians of the Galaxy was always on the top after this campaign launched. So you just don't try to pretend to be someone else. Be yourself. Let your brand be yourself. Be authentic. We all have references, though we are pretty unique. All of us here in this room and all our games are unique, but we just need to show it to people who are our target audience. Actually, that's my favorite mistake. Branding is logo and key visual, which is not. Far from it. So, as continue comparing brand to personality, identity is just close, and branding is your game's personality. As said, it's like more than just a logo. So when you develop your game's personality, you start with your player profiling. You try to identify your audience, you find the portrait of it, then you make a competitive analysis, trying to understand who are those companies and games I'm compete with, where my niche is. And also you continue with brand positioning, answering how exactly is your brand different from others. Value proposition, which is a statement what benefits players receives from you. Tone of voice, how do you communicate with them? What emotional tone you choose. You should have your communication strategy, which is actually a plan of how the messaging is delivered through all these channels to your core audience. Naming a messaging, well, it's also crucial. You want this brand to stick to your target market and to your audience for a long time. Identity, well, even identity is not just logo and key visual. You should have your style guide with all the color schemes, with typography. It's a really, branding, it's a complex. It takes time to build it, and you need to make self-research, self-check. Do I understand everything about my game? Do I have all the information to let others to enjoy it and to be more successful? Just an example of how the identity could be fluid. So if you have a strong brand, you can do whatever you want to do with your logo. And your brand is not just a commercial name or even like, as said, a logo. Like brand are the values we attach to our products, our games. And this process of attaching the values called marketing. And this is example of Warner Bros. Celebrating their 100th year anniversary. It's recognizable in any form, in any form. The last mistake is branding as an afterthought. Start early. Start thinking about branding early. If you ask me, I'd recommend to do at least your first steps at the pre-alpha stage, because this is a stage where your community is born. This is where you have your chance to feel your audience, to like make first steps of understanding what they like, what they feel, and what you want them to feel. Why you need to start early? So, as already discussed, this is a very competitive market. You need to have a chance to stand out, and branding gives you this chance. So, by the moment of launch, you will come up with everything from this slide. So, if you start early, so you'll have your like value proposition, your tone of voice, you'll have your communication plan, and honestly, changing a brand or building a brand from scratch after the launch is costly. It will cost you huge investment into new promotions, into changing marketing materials, into advertisement campaigns. So you'll spend much more if you don't think about it on the early stage. Also, it helps you on these early stages to build your core community, your loyal community, who will activate the word of mouth and go everywhere and promote you for free, right? It has also, and like this is an opportunity, you risk your reputation when you change something after the launch, because it's like damaging your brand by being inconsistent too. There are plenty of examples how brands changed during like all their being live, though it's always costly. Potentially, it could be successful, but you should understand there are lots of flaws in it. So this is a list of questions that we, as agency, ask our clients. It's just like short top. What we ask our clients who want to start doing brands, start doing branding to their game. I'm not sure I want to dive deeper into each of everyone, but this is a self-health checklist. This is actually you ask yourself, do you really understand all the aspects of your business? Do you understand the game you produced or like developing? So actually I have an extended list of those. It's just 6, like we have about 20, 25, maybe more questions. And I'd be happy to share with all of you, so you just drop me a line on LinkedIn and I'll happy to share, because I really think that this self-check, this is what we lack of. Sometimes we just, I want to do something great and my great game will be fantastic and everyone will love it. Though there are many aspects that we should take into consideration. Well, just to sum it all up, today's marketing, video games marketing, balance between performance advertising and brand marketing. So performance is focused on short-term revenues, and branding is about building long-term relationships. And in ideal world, you need to balance both. You need to find your own balance, and there is no magic pill. It really depends on how you see your brand, what strategy you have, what results you expect, but you need to have both. Also, my advice, if you ever decide to cut costs in your company, don't start with marketing if you want a long-lasting success. Like if you want your brand to grow and to be recognizable and to bring additional value, don't do that, at least with brand marketeers. Yeah, brands, also what we discussed, the part of having a conversation with the audience. So you first listen, then respond. And this is like the only way. Treat the brand as a personality. This is a personality. Treat your game not just source of money. It has a soul. It has a face. And let your brand, let your game influence others. Yeah, I have a feeling like that. After that, after this chart, there will be a huge change in the market in terms of how brands are built, right? So it's about all people making fall in love in brands. It's pretty the same how people fall in love with each other. So you find something likable, you find what you really love, and you stay there. That's the only way. And strong brands, they create emotional connections with audience. And the more individuals love your brand, the higher the value of a game. And people really like think of yourself. We really want to pay for meaningful emotions. And if your game, if your brand provide it, you'll be on top. You'll be on top. And if your brand, if your product doesn't provide like some emotional value, it's just a product. It's not a brand. Yeah, I guess that's it for today. I really enjoyed what I had a conversation with a couple of you during these days, and I realized that it's a very emotional topic, and we don't think about this business from an emotional standpoint of view. I really appreciate you helped me to realize how big it is, and I hope you support me in this continue expanding the word about branding. Thank you.